Ho, 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 ho. Let's turn down the music as I am going live. Fanatical prospecting. Hello, internet, interwebs, whatever you want to call it. Let's just talk about how amazing that is that I can actually communicate this live to you guys as an individual. Like this, what I was doing or what I'm doing right now was probably millions of dollars, not even 10 years ago or like 15 years ago. So with that being said, fanatical prospecting, something that is never going to go out of commission and something that is actually going to become harder and harder as people get less and less bold, as they get less and less aggressive, as they get less and less, let's use the internet, let's advertise, let's market, let's sponsor, let's buy leads, let's have someone else do it. And there's nothing wrong with that, except when you're the one that's actually doing it, there's an internal feeling of you prospecting every single day. I can't give that to you. You know, it's kind of like that feeling that someone wins a championship, or even someone, I don't know, the smallest thing, wins an award, the best for that week, you know, the best prospector for that week, or the fastest person in that gym class that day. You can't buy that feeling. I can't give you that feeling. You can't get it at a store. It's not given on eBay. It's not at a beach hanging out. It's you putting in hard work. Prospecting in general. All right, so this has been, I've been in sales for quite some time now. You know, just a little backstory before I get into the book is I was a caddy caddy is where you carry golf clubs at age 12. And for 7 years, I carried bags. I mowed some lawns, I did some landscaping, I did Cutco knives, which is you call, you do a presentation, you sell. In short, I've pretty much always been sales. I was a waiter at 2 different places, Olive Garden, OG baby, and then I was training to become a sales guy in a finance company, and I noticed that I like sales, but I don't like finance. This is everything when it comes to sales. So first of all, let's just decipher the difference between marketing and sales. I've already talked about it on this channel. Marketing is passive. It's kind of like that brand awareness, like you do something good in the world, so you put it out there. You know, say there's a charity, or you're branding how you have a new product or a new service or something like that. Sales is the ask. Sales is saying, you already know about us. Will you buy with us? You've heard of our company, our goodwill. Are you going to do our product or service or whatever the case is that you're selling? You know, it's like you put out a magazine or you put out a social ad, but you need someone to follow up. You need someone that at the store, if you're buying a suit, a tie, shoes, a bag, whatever, that closes you. That's sales. Marketing is essentially receiving a magazine or seeing something that passively came in front of you, like a billboard or whatever. It doesn't matter, just interrupting your attention, but the other one is actually closing. So with fanatical prospecting, over the last 10 years of real estate, which I just turned 10, which is crazy because back in the day when I first started, people would ask, oh, how long have you been in the industry? They don't ask now, they kind of feel the confidence. But when I first started, they're like, oh, how long have you been in the industry? My answer has always been, up until year about 4, I would always say, long enough. You know, long enough, don't worry about it, long enough. I wouldn't say don't worry about it, but I would say long enough. So with fanatical prospecting, I started prospecting probably about 5 years ago. But what I noticed is the ebbs and flows of prospecting, and I saw the very successful people, the people, especially in real estate, that always had, you know, I don't know what industry you're in, but you're always prospecting. You're prospecting yourself if you're single and you're trying to get a date. You're prospecting yourself if you don't have a job and you're looking to get salaried position or even sales. It doesn't really matter. You're prospecting your ideas if you're a parent or you're a spouse, a colleague, a manager. Doesn't matter. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend. You know, all day you're trying to convince or influence. I'm actually reading another book. This is unbelievable. Instant Influence. I can't wait to dive into this. I literally just, you know, I'm only 10 pages in. I just started today. But with fanatical prospecting, I noticed that the most successful people, the people with the biggest books of sale, or the biggest books, say you're a insurance or you're a financial advisor or you're in real estate, is that people that they were always on the phone. They were always talking to clients. They were always asking for referrals. They were trying to get new business every single day. And I never heard of that. You know, there's a lot of sales books that I've read, probably 15 to 20 sales books. And they always said, you know, you could always prospect or you could always ask for business. This is how you work by referral and things like that. But they never literally said between this time and this time, that's all you do. That is your golden hour. That is all you do every single day, okay? You stop doing that, you stop getting business. It's not gonna be immediate. You're not gonna notice it. But then within 30 days, you're gonna say, where's my business? Well, it didn't happen that day where you look around and you say, where's my business? It happened 30 days ago when you stopped prospecting. Okay, so within this book, it has taken me 8 years to get to the point where I literally look around and I say, there is nothing, except for yesterday, unfortunately, there is nothing that will get between my 9 and my 10 a.m. Nothing. Literally a closing, a walkthrough, appointments, pitches, listings, it doesn't matter. Everything gets pushed away. Don't contact me. I have my music that is playing. I have my earbuds that I was just calling. I have the way to track it, which is brand new. This is like it's like a kid's toy, or I think there's a name for it, but essentially there needs to be a physical representation of your metrics. Okay, you need to track your metrics. Okay, so let's just get into it. So within Fanatical prospecting, you have to, it doesn't start at the time that you're going to be prospecting. It starts way before that. It starts the night before. The night before, you need to have good sleep. You need to have your energy right. You have to have your health right. You have to have your mind right, because you bring all of that baggage into your prospecting, which then brings you to the appointment, and then that brings you to the listing or the pitch or whatever it is for in your business. For us, it's a listing appointment. That's where you get our business. But it starts the night before. There is a monumental difference between me getting good sleep and me not getting good sleep. There is a monumental difference between the way that I show up the next day if I don't get good sleep or I do get good sleep. I can't tell you the last time that I missed going to the gym. So for me, I need to go to the gym. I need to get that cathartic, whatever release, you know, get the dopamines running in my body. I come to work, I put nothing around. My phone is on airplane mode for a while. I don't check my email. I literally am just focused on 9 to 10. And the reason being is I've come so close to bankruptcy multiple times because I would prospect and then I would stop. And then 3 months later, 4 months later, I say, holy shit, I don't have any money. I need to go prospect again. And then 3 months later, the exact same thing would happen. So it would be 3 months good, 3 months good, 3 months good, and it just for 10 years. So finally, I'm now saying I need to hire, I need to leverage my time, I need to leverage who I talk to. There's so many different lead sources in real estate. So it starts the night before, all right? Number 2 is you cannot have any distractions. The only distraction I have is the music that pumps me up, the energy that flows through me, and then the people I'm gonna call. That is it. There's no email, there's no social media, your phone's not around. Ideally, your phone is not around. I use Ring Central, which is a desktop app, so my phone isn't around. My email isn't around. I put on YouTube, Amazon, Facebook, and Instagram. I have a 10-minute time limit per day for all of those websites combined. And because I'm live right now, I only have 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Literally, I looked at it. It's called Stay Focused. It's a Chrome extension. Highly recommend you get it. I block pretty much everything except for, you know, my CRM and then Google Docs and StreetEasy and a bunch of those other jazz things. All right, so getting into it, he obviously talks about why you need to prospect. I don't know why someone needs to explain that, but that was about 50 pages, 60 pages. For me, I already know. You know, people say prospecting is dead, you know, as he brings up. Okay, so chapter 1, the case for prospecting. Okay, why do you even need a case for prospecting? People think that they spend thousands of dollars, nothing against Gary Vaynerchuk and all the other people, Grant Cardone, that talk about, you know, Grant Cardone talks way too much on marketing when in fact he's a sales company and he has, 50 reps making calls? There's someone calling me right now because of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that I called this morning. 8 doesn't sound a lot, but all those 8 people had at least an apartment worth $1 million on the market at one time. So I'm calling them. They don't know who I am. It's not really a cold call because it's like sort of a cold call, but their home is not on the market. They don't know who I am. And I'm just saying, hey, listen, I think you should list because it's a good time to be doing that. So I did about, let's call it $12 million worth of calls this morning. So that was someone calling back. Obviously, I need a follow-up. So I call, then I text, and then I send them an email if I have it. Whatever forms of communication, I call, I leave a voicemail, I send them a text message, and then however they want to get back to me. Doesn't really matter. Just get back to me. Number 2, the 7 mindsets to fanatical prospecting. This is obvious. I would say the first, 50 pages, which is 8 chapters, which is you have to have a growth mindset. You have to have a fanatical just way of prospecting, which is 10x by Grant Cardone. You just got to do more than you expect. You have to be disciplined at the exact same time. You can't have any distractions. You can't be by the water cooler. Nothing can get in your way. Don't talk about the presentations you have to get ready or the appointments that you have to get ready or all that shit that's going on in the back of your mind, because none of that shit's going to matter when you have no business, when you have no income, when you have to look for another job. Cold call and not to cold call, it's stupid. I hate that chapter because I already believe in it. But for you guys that don't believe in it, you have to believe in calling. They have to hear your voice. I already said monumental, there's a big difference between me actually emailing, texting, as opposed to calling. Because now they can hear my voice. Now they can understand my inflection, my energy, my enthusiasm, who I am as a person. I bring my personality through. On an email, they just see my picture. On a text message, they just see black text on a white screen. Like how can they get my personality from that? Knowing your numbers was the biggest thing. I was like, why do I need to know my numbers? What's the biggest thing behind my numbers? The reason being is that if I go all the way to the end of this year and I say I made, say, $100,000 and I made, 4,000 calls, whatever the case is, 1,500 calls. I can then say from 1,500 calls, I got this amount of appointments, I got this amount of listings. Well, actually, it's calls, contacts as you get someone on the phone, appointments, and then listings. That's the 4 that I track. And then from there, obviously, you track a little bit more information. However, that's where you start. How many calls did you make? How many contacts did you get? How many appointments did you get? How many listings did you get? Because then you can go calls to listings ratio. And ideally, you get that the amount of calls to the amount of listings, it gets better. So instead of maybe 20 to 1, it's 18 calls to 1 listing. I would say 5% is, that's a really good ratio, honestly. Because a lot of them are not going to give it to you, a lot of them are not going to sell to you, a lot of them will choose another agent, or it's just how it is. So know your numbers. That was the biggest thing that I never understood why. And the reason being is that if I want to make 200,000, then I say I can either get my ratio better or make more calls. The best way to make more calls is use Mojo Dialer. Okay, Mojo Dialer, you could do a single line, you could do a triple line, and you can go on Cole Resources or Realty Resources, forget what it is, but you just drop a pin around an area and then you just slam all of that, you just hit that area, all right? There's so many other ways to prospect, okay? Direct to voicemail, send a mass text message. Obviously, calling is the best way, but it's kind of hard if you have 10,000 numbers. But if you have 10,000 numbers, you could just bang them all out, and then leave a direct to voicemail to all the numbers that didn't come through. All right, so moving through, I would say, obviously he has a lot of things, which is in-person prospecting, text messaging, emailing, mental toughness. The only thing I can say about fanatical prospecting is that you have to do it every single day. And the reason being is that once you miss one day, you might miss another day. And once you miss 2 days, you're probably gonna miss a third, and then you're fucked. And I know that from firsthand experience. And when I go from hero, which is every single day for a month, to 0, I literally have to build the skill up again like I'm starting brand new. It's not like riding a bike where you haven't done it in 10 years and you can easily pick it up. No, with fanatical prospecting and you stop, it's really hard to pick up the discipline, the amount of calls, the fear of rejection. And by the way, no one wants to do it, okay? As he talks about, Blount, He has written a phenomenal amount of books, and I highly recommend all of them. He just came out with a new book called Objections, which I'm going to pick up as well. But essentially he says he and his team, they look at, okay, how efficient are you in that 1 hour? Are you doing too much? Are you looking up too much information on each prospect and you're only making 3 or 4 calls an hour? Or are you actually banging out the calls and understanding their needs and their wants on there? Obviously, your sales cycle is totally different between mine and someone else's. Understandable. Maybe your sales cycle is 3 months or a year. Or buying a building, that's expensive. That takes probably thousands of phone calls to understand who's actually going to be buying the building. But if you're selling a widget, that's obviously a lot easier. If you're selling, this is the thing, is that I don't understand the people that own a small business, say a nail salon or cleaners or something like that, and all they do is market. Why don't you call around? Hey, listen, we just opened up in the area, direct to voicemail, whatever the case is, or call around the area, or hire someone to do that. That's sales. You'll have a flood of people coming in all the time, and then from there, you obviously expand. With Fanatical Prospecting, this is the last thing I'm going to say on it. It's a good book. I wouldn't say it's the end-all, be-all, but it's definitely a good addition to your sales. And why I like it is that he actually does it. He's not saying you should do this because I heard it's good. You should do this because someone else told me it's good or I read it in a textbook. He's actually doing it. His company called Sales Gravy is banging out probably thousands of calls a day. And he's right in the trenches as well. I want to get to the point, and I know this is a lot longer than I expected it to be, but I want to get to the point where I'm still making sales calls, say 10 years down the line. There is a feeling of accomplishment when you're done. Okay, and this is the best thing, I'll leave you on this, is that when you don't feel like doing it is when you have to do it. And this is the reason. It's not for the win that you're going to get if you get a listing. It's the win psychologically that says, when I feel like shit, when I'm hungover, when I'm tired, when I don't want to do it, when I just had a bad day or a bad night or a bad morning or whatever the case is, I show up. That's just like me. I win. I show up regardless. That psychological win, I can tell you right now, is monumental, okay? This morning, I didn't feel like making sales calls. Nobody does. Most of the time, nobody does at any time. Nobody wakes up this morning and is like, I can't wait to make sales calls. No, they say, I can't wait till it's over. But the thing is, you show up every single day at the exact same time. So highly recommend you pick up the book for, I would say, a multitude of reasons. One, to convince yourself that prospecting is the way, it's the way in the future because there's not a lot of people that are doing it. Number 2 is you have to understand that it's never going anywhere and it's going to be a more valuable resource because no one's doing it. Number 3 is if you need to get convinced that it's better than social selling or emailing or texting or direct mail or whatever the case is. And then number 4 is obviously the conversion, the metrics, the numbers, what to say. For me, the biggest thing is when I call is just get the appointment. That's it. They're not going to buy, they're not going to list on the phone, only if it's a referral or they call me, but that's rare, okay? I have to do all the outbound prospecting I can just to get to the appointment. And my closing line is, I will be in the area, or I'll be in the neighborhood instead of area. I'll be in the neighborhood tomorrow at noon, does that work for you? Are you going to be around? Whatever the case is. I'm not going to be in the neighborhood, no way. I'm going to go to the neighborhood, but once they say, yeah, that actually works for me, I just had that today. She said, you know what, shoot me an email, I got to go, I'm at work. Okay, shoot her an email, guess what, I'm going to follow up. Call, text, voicemail, email, follow up the next day. Call, text. There is a fear of rejection. There is a fear that every salesperson have, which is, no, I don't want to do business with you, whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. You still have to pick up the phone. You still have to call. You still have to record the calls. You have to get better. You have to have a growth mindset. You have to be disciplined. Highly recommend it. Pick it up. The link is below. If you guys have any recommendations on any books to read, please leave that in the comments below. And obviously, this is the next one, which is Instant Influence. I'm really jacked up about this one. This already in 10 pages it's going to be a game changer, hands down. I know a lot of people that are using that. And actually, the last thing with Fanatical Prospecting is get your objections down. If you start hearing the exact same objections, who are you? Never heard of you. Who's your company? Why do you want an appointment? Why don't you just tell me? What's your commission? How long are you going to list it for? What are you going to do for me? You're just every other broker. how are you different? Whatever the case is, you're always going to hear the exact same objections, and you're only going to get over that when you keep on saying a better and better objection handler. Or you can handle it up front. Hey, listen, I know you're getting a ton of calls from brokers. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, listen, they're probably pesky. They're probably emailing, sending out messengers, whatever. All I'm looking to do, and then you go into the script. Whatever the case is, you bring up the objection handler is you're another broker that's trying to get their business and they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to pay a listing compensation. Whatever the case is, it's not the script, it's how you say it, it's how often you say it, it's how many calls you make. Have an amazing day. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. And obviously any book recommendations.